I just got back from seeing Beetlejuice Beetlejuice, which is the sequel to the 1988 classic Beetlejuice, which stars Michael Keaton, Winona Ryder, Jenna Ortega, Catherine O'Hara, and Justin Theroux, and some other people. This takes place exactly the timeline, but 33 years after the original. Jeez Christ, or 34 years. This should have came out a long time ago, but Michael Keaton didn't want to do it. And it feels like Michael Keaton decided to do this movie when he worked on The Flash. He took pictures and sent them to Tim Burton when he was on the set, and I guess he had a good time making that garbage film, which he barely had to appear in. Pretty much he was in that briefly. He's in it for a majority of it, but you know, his shooting days were like very limited. And Tim Burton was like, you want to do Beetlejuice? Let's do that one again. And Warner Brothers was like, yeah, cash. And they made this. This story is, like I said, 30-something years later. Winona Ryder's character has become a psychic medium, paranormal ghost hunter type of person. Basically, she does a show that's like The Dead Files with Amy Allen and Steve Buscemi. Is that Buscemi? I don't know if that's his last name. But he's a detective that goes and investigates locations that people are having paranormal experiences in, and then she goes the day before or after, and they never communicate, and she senses and she gets to what's going on in the house, who's haunting the house or whatever. And basically it looks like that's what Winona Ryder's character does. And she's famous for this. And all of a sudden she gets a phone call and she's notified that her father just died. They don't have him, Jeffrey Wright, who Ferris Bueller's principal, in this movie because he did some bad things and tried to hook up with a boy because he's a pedo. So they said, no, we're not gonna have him in the movie. But they do have him in the movie, and they have his likeness in the movie. They just don't actually have him or his voice in the movie. They do this little stop motion animation about how he died, which is amusing but not funny. And so they have to go back to the house because he still lived in that home in Connecticut. He still owned the house. They have to go back to that house for his funeral, and to, I guess they're emptying out the house to sell it. Winona Ryder has to contact her daughter, who her and her daughter don't really have a great relationship. They're not close at all, as her daughter resents her. She's a teenager, and she's upset because it feels like her mom never really tried to have a relationship with her and never mourned the death of Jenna Ortega's character's father, her ex-husband. And from there on, then we get the rest of the story, which later involves Beetlejuice, which we do see him spliced throughout the entire film. So we see what he's been doing since the last film in the underworld or in hell or whatever it is. And we see how he's been maintaining his life and his business, because remember, he had a business, bioexorcism. I think he's still doing that, and he's got a bunch of employees. So let me get to the gist of my thoughts of this film. I really love the original Beetlejuice. As I said, this is the first movie I recall seeing in the movie theaters. Doesn't mean I remember the movie I just remember being a kid, being at the movies. I remember seeing this movie in screens, but I don't remember anything about it. But it became one of my favorite movies growing up. So the idea of a sequel has always intrigued me, and I think probably everybody people and agents have been probably trying to get this movie to be made for years, and they finally do it. And does it do justice to the first one? I might be the minority in this. I don't think so. I actually don't like this movie at all. It's about an hour before the movie gets good, that's compared to the original, it's like 15 minutes until the movie gets in, at least 10 minutes before it gets interesting. And then really good is like 15 minutes when things start happening, when the family moves into the house, they're trying to get them out. They do the little scene of like she's holding his head and the knife, and she's standing there like the girl from Summer Camp, Sleepaway Camp, Angela. She's standing there like Angela from Sleepaway Camp with the knife, and she's holding Alec Baldwin's head. I mean, that was interesting. All those things in the first film was good. It gets good right away. And this doesn't. Even though they show Beetlejuice pretty early on, nothing's good. And this whole guy's subplot, by the way, with Beetlejuice, that his ex-wife, from that stupid line in the first film where he goes,
I'm telling you, honey, she meant nothing to me. Nothing at all.
On Winona Ryder's character's finger, They made a character about her, and it's irrelevant. She's just haunting or stalking, looking for Beetlejuice for the entire film. And spoiler alert, she doesn't get to him till the end. And they reuse some of the bits from the first film, which they always do. You know, these movies always end up doing that. Axel F did that. Every movie, every sequel years later, they want to recycle something. And actually, Axel F did it very minimally, because I know they want to do the big banana gag all over again. And Eddie Murphy said no. This movie, they do the sandworm thing again. There's a musical part in this, and I guess that's supposed to be like reminiscent of the Deo scene at dinner, or the end scene when when another Ryder, Lydia, starts to dance. Also, the Deo thing, Harry Belafonte songs were something that Alec Baldwin's character liked. Adam Maitland, he was the one that liked Barry Belafonte. I mean, Harry Belafonte, Harry Belafonte. He's the one that liked him, not fucking the dad. So they sing that song for the dad at the end. I think I laughed. There was parts with the dad's character that's not in the movie, but he's in the movie, that I did chuckle. But really, honestly, I don't remember the first laugh I had in this movie. You know, the first time you laugh, I think the first time in the first film that I actually laughed was probably, you know, when they meet Beetlejuice. And this one, it's so far into it. And everybody has a subplot, everybody has a side story. Catherine O'Hara's got a side story later on in the film. Seeing her again, this is the thing. I know I'm all over the place, but it feels like the first movie was grounded with Alec Baldwin and Gina Davis's characters. They grounded the film. They were normal, loving, suburban couple that were married, that never had kids, and their life ends too soon. And now they're dealing with being in the afterlife and trying to figure it all out, when all of a sudden people buy their home and are moving in. And they don't want these people in their home because they want to be in their home by themselves. It's their home. And they're trying to get these people out. And they have to go to the afterlife to figure out how to get these people out. And then they find Beetlejuice, and all hell breaks loose. In this film, there's so many things going on. And it's just like, they could have cut so many things down and made it make much more sense. The whole Beetlejuice wife thing, unnecessary. She didn't even need to be in the movie. She does nothing. She accomplishes nothing. Spoiler time. Sorry, people. There's Jenna Ortega's character has a side story that is good, and it works. And it was like, that works. That works. Winona Ryder's side story, I guess that one doesn't work. Winona Ryder's a horrible actor. I'm like, what happened to her? Because she was even bad in Mr. Deeds. Like, her acting is terrible. I'm sorry, Miss Winona Ryder. You were great in the 80s and 90s. I loved you in Heathers. I don't know what happened. What happened? Really, she's been terrible. She's been terrible. She's great when she's that crazy psychotic, because maybe she is really crazy and psychotic, mom in Stranger Things in the first season. But I don't know what happened along the way. Like, she's like that all the time. She's just like, I don't know. I'm sorry. I could be in the minority, and I know a lot of people aren't gonna like this video probably because I'm kind of shitting on this movie, but not totally shitting on it, because the movie gets good 1 hour into it, and it gets funny and interesting and fun. There's some cameos in here. I think a lot of other characters, like one of the best characters doesn't even have lines. That's Bob. Another one, I liked William Dafoe in the movie. I thought he was funny or fun to watch. And Michael Keaton's Beetlejuice is great when they get to the good parts of the film. When something happens with Jenna Ortega, and that's when the movie gets good. And it's like, why couldn't that have happened earlier? And it is kind of reminiscent of the first film in a sense, like the whole idea, except it's flipped, kind of, because Lydia wants to be dead in the original, right? She's like, I want to be with you. She wants to be with the dead parent, her dead parents, her ghost parents, Adam and Barbara. She wants to be with them because she likes them. She hates her family, and she figures she'd be better off, dead. So she tells Beetlejuice to help her get to them. This one's similar, kind of, but flipped. And it's interesting. That was when the movie, that was like, oh, this is interesting. Why couldn't you do this from the beginning? Why do we have to see this whole garbage? And Lydia, I don't know, besides her acting, I don't know. It was hard having a whole movie. I think it's really because of that. Like a whole movie revolved around Winona Ryder is pretty rough. And besides the fact that Beetlejuice or Michael Keaton is in the movie for like 35 minutes, like if you combine everything together, there's times where he just goes his own way. Like Winona Ryder asks him for help, and then they're in the underworld together, and she's like going, "Where do we go?" And then we gotta go that way. I know, where are you going? Oh, I have to go to the bathroom first. And then there's scenes that don't even match. Like he's with somebody else at one point, and then all of a sudden it cuts and he's somewhere else with somebody else. It's with the whole Gate 11. And if you've seen it, you look at that scene right before it, pretty sure he was with other people, and then all of a sudden he's there. And it was like, I'm pretty sure he was, I'm not gonna say who he's with because I don't want to spoil it. And then another character, and then the Justin Theroux thing, he's just useless too. I mean, he's supposed to be the juxtaposition to, I guess, to the bride, the bride. That's what it is, Corpse Bride. That's what it is. It's Beetlejuice's ex-wife. I think that little scene, then they had to actually go into like, yeah, he really was alive for the Black Plague. He wasn't just saying that. No, he was really around since the Black Plague. I thought that was just a line he said just to tell them, I've been around since the Black Plague, and I had a pretty good time at that. I thought that was just a joke I didn't think he really was, but no, he was. And we see what he really did, which was okay. But really, 35 minutes of Beetlejuice, and the movie's about Beetlejuice, and it's only good when Beetlejuice is in it. And then at the end, it's like, what the fuck? There was a musical scene at the end. I'm just like, who's gonna know this song, number one? I don't even know this song. And I'm into old music, like 60s and 70s. There was a scene, a cameo with which I was so odd. I'm like, why would they use that song? That's a song I never thought I would see in a movie. It was, Danny DeVito has a cameo as a janitor, and they have a scene where he's listening to music, and it's actually, that was okay. Didn't make me laugh though. Honestly, I didn't laugh for like an hour, and I can't remember the scene that made me laugh. And there was a few chuckles, but anything any good. I think probably when, Beetlejuice and Winona Ryder are together for the first time. That was probably like that scene, that whole little thing that they kind of spoil in the trailers. I think I laughed there. But besides that, no. Is it worth seeing in general? I would wait and not go see it in theaters. I would wait and watch it when it comes out on streaming. That's when I would see it. I mean, this movie already made its money back, so if you haven't seen it by now, you don't need to go see it. Is it a terrible film? No, it's not a terrible film, but this is a sequel to one of the best supernatural comedy movies ever made, in my opinion. Beetlejuice is one of the best. It's one of Tim Burton's greatest films, and it's kind of a letdown compared to that, but it's not horrible. Like I said, after the first hour, the film gets good. They were doing way too much with way too many characters. The actual Jenna Ortega storyline was great. That was the story. And Winona Ryder could have been the mom trying to do what she was doing in this film without all the other bullshit. I'm sorry. And I'm sorry that I curse a lot, if I curse a lot in this review. All in all, I'll give this, I'm going to give this a little lower score than I think it deserves to, because it's just like, I like the original a lot. I'm going to give this 2.5 out of 5 stars. I'm pretty sure people will probably rate this much higher or be fair, like a little bit more fair than me and say 3 out of 5. If people want to say 3 out of 5, I'm going to be kind of a little bit lenient and a little bit, no, I'm not, I shouldn't be. Because to me, this is my review. This is my opinion. I'm sure you probably like the movie more than me. So I'm going to give this a 2.5 out of 5 stars. That's me. That's just how I see the film. I'm sure you're going to like it more. It's fun. It is fun. The last half hour is great. But I just think it could have been much better. It's an hour and 30 minutes. It feels much longer than an hour and 30 minutes because so much is happening. But it's short. It's just not what it could have been and it should have been. But it's great when they're in it is good at the end. So take my review with a grain of salt. Anyway, if you saw the movie, let me know in the comment section down below what you thought about it. If you like this video, hit that like button, subscribe if you're new here, and I will talk to you guys next time. Peace.